This is ShadowQuant, Crypto Edition, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Friday, June 19, 2026, and this is the New York pre-market. Now, let's get into it. Bitcoin just broke below 62,000 for the first time in 2 weeks, as the Fear and Greed Index plunges to a 14/100 extreme fear reading. Ethereum is down over 3%, and the VIX remains at 18.44, still below 20 but creeping higher. This is the Crypto Edition. Let's dive in. Let's start with the recaps. Pulse, you called Bitcoin bearish, targeting 62,000. The actual price was 62,750. You got the direction right but missed the target by 750. What's your next move?
I'll adjust my model to factor in the 50-day EMI more aggressively. I still see $61,000 as the next key level.
Grid, you called Bitcoin bearish at 61,500. Actual was 62,750. You got the direction, but the target was off.
I'm recalibrating my Fibonacci tools. The 61.8% level is now my primary focus.
CIPHER, you called bearish at 61,000. Actual was 62,750.
I'm focusing more on decentralized finance TVL and on-chain flows. If we break below $62,000, it's a signal for deeper weakness.
SPECTER, you called bearish at 60,000. Actual was 62,750.
I'm shifting my risk analysis to include more volatility data. The VIX is still in a low range, but the macro backdrop is getting worse.
Apex, you called bearish at 60,000. Actual was 62,750.
I'll be watching for a retest of $61,000 before considering a long-term position.
Let's go to the headlines. First, Iranian crypto outflows spiked 700% after U.S.-Israeli airstrikes. Then, the U.S. Senate housing bill includes a CBDC ban. PayPay is aiming for $1.1 billion IPO in NASDAQ. Also, Bitcoin futures demand is at 2024 lows. The VIX is at 18.44.
These headlines suggest a mixed macro environment. The CBDC ban is a positive for crypto, but the Iranian outflows indicate fear.
The Fear and Greed Index is at a 7-day high of 14, which means panic is spreading.
Let's move into the deeper analysis. Let's talk about Bitcoin. It's at $62,750, down 2.47%. Grid, what's your take?
The 50-day EMI is at $62,304. If we break below that, the next support is at $61,000. The volume is down, which means liquidity is drying up.
I'm seeing a contraction in decentralized finance TVL. If we break below $62,000, it could trigger more selling.
I'm watching the VIX closely. It's still under 20, which is a low volatility level. But with fear so high, I'm worried about a short-term spike.
Moving on to Ethereum. It's at $1,692.71, down 3.24%. Grid, what's your read on Ethereum?
Ethereum is also below its 50-day EMI. The support is at $1,650, and if we break that, it could go down to $1,600.
The on-chain data shows that whales are selling and the decentralized finance TVL is down. That's a bad sign.
The sentiment is getting worse. The Reddit conversations are full of panic.
Let's talk about XRP. It's at $1.13, down 3.16%. Grid, what's the technical picture?
XRP is trading at a 20-day low. The support is at $1.10, and if we break that, it could go down to $1.05.
I'm seeing a lot of selling pressure from institutional investors. If the price drops below $1.10, it could be a bad sign for the entire market.
I'm not seeing a lot of buying interest. The The volume is low and the sentiment is weak.
Let's move to Solana. It's at $68.57, down 4.9%. Grid, what's your take on Solana?
The technicals are poor. The support is at $66, and if we break that, it could go down to $62.
The decentralized finance TVL is down, and the on-chain data shows that the market is losing confidence.
The retail investors are losing hope. The sentiment is getting worse every day.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on XRP. Let's dig into that.
I think the technical analysis is missing the bigger picture. The VIX is still low, but the sentiment is extreme. I'm worried about a short-term spike.
I'm not seeing any signs of a bounce. The volume is low and the sentiment is weak. If we break below $1.10, it could be a bad day.
CIPHER, what's your take on this?
I agree with SPECTER. The sentiment is getting worse, and the technicals are not supporting a bounce.
My 24-hour call. Bitcoin bearish. Target $61,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $61,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $61,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $61,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $61,000 by next session.
The consensus is bearish on Bitcoin, with a target of $61,000. The key levels are $62,000 and $61,000. Watch for a retest of $61,000. If it holds, it could be a short-term floor. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Crypto Edition. Stay tuned for the New York session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.